If you hear these words, know this. It is no mere coincidence. This is a response, a resonance of your deepest aspirations. Your soul, like a compass, has been searching for this call, and now it has sounded. Before we take a step into the secret sanctuary, you must make a choice. Each like you give is not simply an expression of affection, but a bold declaration of intent, a statement of readiness for change. And a subscription is your silent entry into the ranks of those who tirelessly seek true knowledge. The truth that they carefully conceal behind the colorful screen of daily news is astonishingly simple, and at the same time, terrifying. This is not another fabricated conspiracy theory. This is a genuine conspiracy aimed against your very consciousness, against your ability to think freely. An ancient lost quatrain from Centuria 11th, verse 93rd, speaks of the approach of great chaos, but it is interpreted quite differently than we are accustomed to being told. He spoke of the fabric of reality thinning, cracking, and through these rents, something else, something alien, seeping in. What we perceive as crises, wars, widespread tension, these are but echoes of this encroaching fissure. The medium Sylvia Browne, whose name often surfaced at the edges of many minds, once foretold a nation that would lead to NATO's collapse. She didn't name a specific place. No, her words were as vague as breath on frosted glass. But the essence was starkly clear. It wouldn't be external aggression, no open, direct strike. It would be an internal collapse, triggered by a surprising, yet somehow inevitable, decision. A decision that would shatter the fragile balance built upon years of lies and self-deception. I, in turn, delved into ancient texts, into dusty scrolls that had withstood the age's onslaught, trying to grasp this chain reaction of decay. The scrolls of the hermit Kenshin, discovered in the ashes of a monastery on Mount Kurama, describe a tide of emptiness that engulfs civilizations when their foundations have decayed to dust. He spoke of how people lose their inner axis, their spiritual compass, and how in such moments the external world begins to mirror this internal decay. The leak from Chimera Protocol reveals shocking details of plans for total control over global narratives. This isn't simply about managing information, but about the very foundation of human perception. The goal is to create a single, unified world where any manifestation of otherness, any spark of free thought, will be viewed as an anomaly requiring immediate correction. And when this unification reaches its zenith, when the boundaries of individuality are almost entirely erased, that is precisely when a colossal disruption will occur. Nostradamus, not merely a predictor, but an ancient alchemist of consciousness, foresaw this as a change of seasons for the earth. He spoke of a certain golden chain that eternally binds nations, and that this chain would break not from external aggression, but from accumulated internal weakness. His encrypted lines, shimmering through the depths of centuries, whisper that the final, decisive blow will not be the explosion of a bomb, but a sudden, stunning revelation. A revelation that will force countless people to see the world as it truly is. Unvarnished, harmonic resonance, the subtle connection of all things, is traced everywhere. Like an invisible thread woven from eternity. The seeress Vanga spoke of an approaching power destined to change everything, and the ancient calculations of the Maya, whose completion coincided with our civilization reaching the peak of its technological development, did not foretell the end of the world, but rather a grand transformation. The revelations of the Gnostics, describing our world as a prison created by lower entities, feeding on our ignorance and fear, are but different facets of the same fundamental truth. We observe fractal patterns repeating in geopolitical events. Crises follow one after another, like waves inevitably crashing upon the shore. And though each subsequent wave seems more powerful than the last, this is merely an illusion. In truth, it is all but parts of a single continuous process, a process that is relentlessly bringing us closer to the point of quantum probability collapse. Technocratic mysticism is becoming the key to understanding this complex phenomenon, including the influence of solar cycles on the noosphere, on collective consciousness itself. When the sun passes through special, energetically charged phases, it is capable of amplifying both our deepest psychic signals and the flows of technological information. And so, these powerful currents, passing through the prism of our most intimate fears and boldest desires, refract, distort, birthing a new, strange reality. Recall that inexplicable, oppressive anxiety that washes over you precisely at 3 a.m. Or that heavy feeling of utter alienation when you look at passers-by, and their faces seem to you nothing more than cold, lifeless masks. No, this isn't mere depression. It is your soul, suffocating from a lack of authenticity within this artificially created matrix. It is your ancient instinct for self-preservation, sounding the alarm when you intuitively sense that your familiar world is merely an ingenious, artificial construct, devoid of any deep meaning. This inner tension, this ominous feeling of impending disaster, none of it is accidental. It is a true reflection of a grand, all-encompassing shift. A shift that, believe me, has already begun. And all of this is connected to the forthcoming dissolution of the structure we've come to call NATO, but not through armed conflict, no. This path chose a solution that, like an invisible thread, would cause the alliance to crumble, like old, worn fabric rotted by time. That decision, which Browne mentioned, was not about an attack at all. It was about withdrawal. Withdrawal from a game built on a fragile illusion of security, from a system that promised reliable protection but only bred and amplified universal fear. The country that made this fateful decision did not seek to ignite conflict. It sought true freedom. Freedom from the unseen chains that bound its will and directed its development along another's path. Imagine that all these monsters, wars, destructive crises, global pandemics, are actually just faint shadows dancing on the walls of an ancient cave. And what if the true tyrant, the one holding us captive, is actually looking at you directly from your own reflection? What if the force governing all existence feeds not on spilled blood, but on your own deeply hidden fear? The universe does not punish humanity. It patiently burns away the poison of fear that paralyzes, the poison of ignorance that blinds, and the poison of materialism that empties the soul. It is like a delicate yet decisive cosmic surgical operation. And if it seems to you that the world around is suddenly going mad, it is only because it is undergoing a process of purification. A purification from old, worn-out forms, from those habits and beliefs that no longer serve the forward movement of consciousness. Its evolution. Your crown of thin, fragile glass is your ego. A carefully constructed self-image based on external achievements and the craving for approval. When this precious, yet so vulnerable glass shatters, you find yourself face to face with authentic, unchanging reality, and the metallic veins represent the soullessness of the system itself. Its mechanistic, ruthless progression, which relentlessly suppresses every manifestation of life, every spark of individuality. But what if prophecies are not merely a grim warning of a coming savior? What if they are nothing more than an activation code? meant to awaken the Savior within each of us, within every viewer. The prophets saw not one chosen one, but an entire army of awakened souls. They saw you. You are not merely a passive participant in this prophecy. You are its living, breathing fulfillment. The decision that could shatter NATO is born not in the office of a head of state, but in the hearts of awakening people. This decision is a complete liberation from the yoke of fear, a belief in one's own unshakable power. It is the decision to step out of the familiar shadow and bravely stride towards the light. The alliance, once built on the foundation of fear of an external threat, eventually became an obstacle to internal freedom. When even one of its constituent parts, one nation, grasps this simple yet profound truth and takes a decisive step toward genuine liberation, the chain reaction will be relentless. Others will undoubtedly follow its example, not because they are forced, but because they will see more clearly than ever before the path to truth. This process will not resemble a sudden, catastrophic collapse. Rather, it will be a series of conscious, free choices to abstain, an abstinence from the role of a submissive victim, to reject participation in a senseless war, devoid of any purpose, to cease belief in fabricated stories spun by others. Your role in this unfolding event is to become the spark that ignites the flame. Your own awakening is but the first faint flicker, but it is this very flicker that can set a true fire ablaze. A fire of awareness will ignite, scorching the phantom illusions underpinning the outdated system. Now that your eyes are finally open, it's simply impossible to stand idly by. Your like is a fleeting flash of light, surging across the entire network, reaching the furthest corners. Your repost is a tiny seed you carefully plant in the vast desert of sleeping minds. And your subscription is a silent, yet firm oath. If you're ready for more, our inner circle will become your base of operations, a secure sanctuary. And your generous support via the Super Thanks feature is the vital energy that fuels our shared flame in this relentless battle against the encroaching darkness. This is Veilbreaker. Until our next meeting, stay aware, stay connected, and never, hear me,